Today on the podcast, we have Dave Parise. Dave, thank you so much for joining. Excited to chat with you. Would you mind just starting off by giving us a little background on yourself before we dive into the Inertia Wave story?
Sure, Jake. I am a 32-year fitness professional. I started by owning a small boutique personal training studio, 5,000 square feet. It was called Results Plus. It was in Hamden, Connecticut. I started there by myself, ended up throughout the years. I had it for 32 years, had about 15 employees. And those employees, half of them were full-time, half were part-time. We did about 250 workouts per week at this personal training studio. I give myself credit on a confidently, not cocky. The Planet Fitness model, the $10 a month, the $15 a month. I started that back in 1988. And what I did for the personal training industry is said, okay, I'm going to work with busy business professionals, have more important things to do. So based on that statement, I was looking for a certain market niche. Anybody that's making over $100,000 to $150,000 a year, and back in 1988, that was a lot of money. So I charged $5,000 a year for personal training, but it was unlimited. I don't care if you come in, your brother comes in, your wife comes in, your spouse comes in. It doesn't matter. Your kids. Bottom line is, you buy a bunch of. There's no sessions. Just $5,000 a year. Come as often as you want. And it worked out really well. And I held that for about 32 years. I sold that right before COVID, right before the quarantine, before we heard the word COVID. Now, through that process, I opened up 18 years. I had a personal training school. I worked under the National Academy of Sports Medicine umbrella. I was certifying trainers under the NASM umbrella, teaching anatomy and kinesiology at my studio. People would come down worldwide, stay at a hotel down the street, and I would spend 40 hours of hands-on training. They would mimic my movement patterns. They would actually follow me along when I'm training clients, along with my staff. Be a part of our staff meetings after the day was ended. So it worked out really well. And then some online things, this and that. And I sold everything, literally sold everything. All my online programs and all my consulting programs, I sold that before COVID. And that's how I transitioned by being lazy and retiring. My girlfriend, I give her total credit for this, said, stop walking around in circles, no more fishing. Invent something. Go downstairs right now because you have all these prototypes downstairs. I want you to take one of them. I want you to create the prototype, bring it to market, get a patent for it, and there, boom, I came out with the Inertia Wave.
Cool. So if you can't actually, I'd be curious to hear why you ended up selling. Like, what was the ultimate reason for selling? Were you just kind of over it, or
I was a 32-year business professional. I was working 14 hours a day. You've heard the term before, working in the trenches, and I just didn't want the brick and mortar anymore. Everything was changing to online training during the quarantine. As you know, all these trainers were making more money online and things of that nature. They realized they didn't have to pay a rent, just like you're working remotely from home. Just what we're doing now. I'm standing in a spare bedroom at my home right now. I work out of my home now. So I just wanted to get into the e-commerce business, the passive income. And it worked out very well. I'm very excited where the Inertia Wave has gone in the last 4 years. Confidently, I say it's a little overwhelming because it is just me wearing every single hat. From customer service, driving back and forth to FedEx, printing out the labels, getting on the phone, working with my 15 international distributors, 3 U.S. distributors. It's a constant grind, but I enjoy it because I have freedom now. I can do what I want when I want. If I want to just go for a walk right now, go walk the dog, meet a friend for lunch, I can. I have really no responsibility when it came to that grind of being, every hour on the hour, a client coming in, taking care of the staff. It was just too much for me at my age too.
Yeah. Yeah. You paid your dues. Well, I'd be curious to hear, you mentioned you had a number of different prototypes. If you could share, what kind of products were you thinking about creating? And then why ultimately did you go with the Inertia Wave?
Well, I had a lot of ab products that took the hip flexors out of the equation. I actually helped design the first ab roller. I don't know if you remember the ab roller. My ab roller, when I sent it to the person who actually owns the company now, my ab roller had something for your feet where you press down your ankles on a ledge in front of the ab roller, which basically engaged your hamstring muscles. Okay. And what it did is it offset, it's called reciprocal inhibition, by pulling your heels down on the bar in front of you while you're doing the ab roller type exercise, or we call it an ab crunch. It actually shut off the hip flexors to put more regional emphasis in the abdomen wall. I had a lot of products like that, a lot of products that you see on the market now for rowing, for lat pulls, that would put you more in an anatomically correct position rather than being in a pronated, externally rotated position. So I kind of was really the geek into figuring out what's really happening inside the body, trying to overcome the external application. That was my job. There were so many exercises in the industry today that I cringe when I see them on social media. They're still doing them. These trainers that think they're great trainers are doing these exercises that actually makes no sense when you talk about how it affects internally, trying to overcome external vector forces, disproportionate forces, leads to all kinds of faulty movement patterns and muscular imbalances, but we still do them today. So my goal was to come up with something that was extremely safe, but also on the other side, extremely intense. Because as you know, Jake, the entire industry, and I say this confidently, everything is based on an athletic inclination. How do we go to the gym, we do an exercise. Now, where do we see that exercise? Well, a buddy told me about it. My coach told me about it. I saw it on YouTube. We do the exercise and it feels good. We adapt to the exercise. Now we become married to the exercise. Then we have an emotional attachment to the exercise. And that exercise to us on a personal level is a great exercise. When I look at that exercise, I say, why are you doing that exercise? It creates shoulder impingement syndrome. Upright rows are the worst thing you can do for the human body. It's a screwed up side raise. Okay. Behind the leg lat pulls don't work the lats. Get out of there. So burpees are probably the worst thing you could do for your structure and your form and your posture. Battle ropes, do you understand that's all distal loading? It's elevation of the shoulder girdle. It plays havoc on the shoulder girdle. It's bad on the wrist structures. It rounds out the thoracic spine. It's concentric only. What the hell are we doing with concentric only? We're lifting and slamming, creating all this muscle tension, muscle torque. So I said to myself, okay, battle ropes are pretty popular, but who the hell wants to carry around a 50-foot long rope if you're going to do it right, and that weighs 30 pounds? Like, what are you doing with that? And it looks ugly, and it frays, and the ends fall off. And I don't understand there's no cognitive aspect to it. There's no feedback response. So I had to take something that had such an amazing visual appeal, like the battle rope, and I had to strip it from that visual appeal and say, what is it really doing, internally? Is it really beneficial? So, me being a perfectionist, if I may, on a professional level, I had to hire an engineer from MIT. And I wanted to find out exactly what a battle rope was doing and what could compare to a battle rope. If you do a blindfold study on internal forces, vector forces of what's happening inside the body when you're doing a battle rope, what exercise is identical with a blindfold? In other words, blindfold studies, guess what it is? It's a medicine ball slam. If you take a medicine ball close to your face, forehead level, that bounces, and you have your feet shoulder width apart, and you just slam it on the ground as hard as you can, catch it, slam, catch, slam, catch, slam, catch. That's called a resistance spike, okay? S-P-I-K-E, resistance spike. That resistance spike is identical for the internal forces going in the body as a battle rope. There is absolutely no difference. However, the only difference is the medicine ball slam is more beneficial in the long run because it's called close proximity. Because the ball is so close to you, you don't have the distal loading. So the battle rope created havoc because of the arms extended out in front of you. So I'm saying, wait a minute, why don't people just use the medicine ball? Why? Because we're looking for variety. We want variety. We don't go to the same restaurant every Friday. All right. So the bottom line is we want this variety. So it's cool and it looks cool, especially on social media. So I had to say, okay, what does the battle rope have? It's all anterior. I got to make something that's posterior. Every athlete in the world knows if you train muscles you don't see in the mirror, you become more efficient at everything you do. Everything. It's better to train your back than your anterior delt. Okay. So we also know, oh, wait a minute, I need something that's concentric and eccentric. I need something that has a feedback response. I need something that's so dynamic that it's more intense on a cardiovascular level than the battle rope. Why do you get winded when you use a battle rope? Because capillary beds close, it's anaerobic, and it gets you winded quickly because you're lifting and slamming a heavy object. Well, you could do that with a medicine ball. You get just as winded. So I had to create something that was totally opposite, but was far more beneficial and better on the system. And that's how I came up with the Inertia Wave after about 5 or 6 prototypes. If you want me to talk a little bit about that, I can.
Yeah, what did the first one look like?
Well, the first one was a basic rubber tube that I dipped in plastic dip and put all kinds of ties on it to put the O-ring on it. And I made my own hand grip out of a handle. It looked terrible and it didn't even work. I had the concept, but I didn't understand what impedance match meant. And that's why I worked with Phil Einhart from MIT. I had to understand there was such a difference between a 20-footer, a 15-footer, a 10-footer, an 8-footer. We had to do actual testing to match the feedback response of a specific length. Then we had to figure out, wait a minute, there's too much torque and tension on the O-ring. We need to add a swivel. All right, let's put a carabiner. Wait a minute, that's not going to work because metal against metal, if you take a carabiner and put it in the O-ring when you're attaching it to something, that's micro trauma. Think about a paperclip analogy. Bend, 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 or a credit card. Bend, 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 it snaps. So now we added the rail strap. And what we found by adding the rail strap, that's how you anchor the inertia wave, 24 to 36 inches apart, roughly 40 inches off the ground. Okay, that rail strap added what's called a length tension relationship. It took 2/3 stress off of the O-ring. Wait a minute, we got something here. This is awesome. Now we have no stress on the O-ring. So now this product is going to last. But guess what? Rubber just didn't cut it. Every single prototype was just a basic floppy rubber tube. It was terrible. And the last thing I want to do as a professional is put something on the market where they go, I could just take 2 rubber tubes and do this.
Mm-hmm.
I get some people that are on the deep end, the Facebook trolls that go, just take a garden hose. But they don't understand that made no sense. But the bottom line is we had to come up with a product. So I found a fishing company in Mexico. And we started melting fishing line, and we started melting all these white density powder that they put in rubber vats to increase coefficiency. We started melting all this stuff together, and I actually have a patent on the other ingredients. It's 58% natural gum rubber. The other ingredients is a white density powder that increases the spring effect. It takes off on you. And then we have some melted fishing line in there to help the coefficiency elastic to plastic. So you could stretch it 6 times its resting length, and it's not rubbery. Now, when you hold it, you're saying, oh, it's a rubber tube. But there's a lot of stuff on the internal. If you open it up, there's a lot of stuff inside that adheres to the inside wall of the inertia wave that's kind of melted and put into the mix, so to speak, part of the ingredients. And that's what gives it its feedback response. And I wanted to also get military contracting. And I did. I got my SAMs and DUNS number and things of that nature. And the only way to do that is to make sure that most of that is made in the U.S. So 50%, the corporate headquarters are in Texas, far Texas. And the rubber itself comes from Mexico. And that's basically the story behind the inertia wave is to come up something that was 3 pounds, 9 feet long with a 14-inch rail strap that had an overwhelming gargantuan workout, and still today the world record is about 60 seconds. I don't know, Jake, if you've done it, if you yourself have just done it balls to the wall, all out, like it was the last day, and really said, oh my God, within 30 seconds you're toast.
Oh yeah, about 30 seconds is kind of like where I'm at, I'd say. I'll have to do that test though to see how long it can last. I'd be curious to hear how long. So you mentioned first prototype to when it was ready. How long was that process? How many months or years?
Okay, so I kept calling this company in Mexico. I said, "Can you make me this? Can you make me that?" But no, no, no. They'd send it to me, and I'd say, "No, no, no." I said, "Look, I want a double overlay here. I want this more reinforced. I don't like the webbing. Can you double up the webbing? We have a better webbing. What does this hold? 600 pounds of torque. I want 1,300 pounds of torque." So I just kept, no, this carabiner's too small. It was just back and forth for about 3 months, and they would just
Okay.
keep sending me samples. Here's a D ring that's, 23 cents a D ring. But I have one that's 70 cents a D ring. I'll take the 70. So I really went above and beyond as far as, my cogs to the door is a lot more than you might imagine because I wanted these USA parts. Everything is USA. The solid steel springs, the cord locks on the Duo, the O-rings, the webbing, everything is USA. Everything. I didn't want to go to China. I just won't deal with China. It was garbage, total garbage. And I know that you personally would call me up and complain within a year, the O-ring snapped, the D-ring snapped, it's fraying,
Right.
things that, or it doesn't work like it used to because it's losing its coefficiency and becoming more rubber-like. And I just want to make sure that did not happen.
Yeah, got it. I mean, mine's a few years old and still in pretty good shape.
Appreciate that.
So
I don't see the rail straps there, but I'm sure you have them set somewhere.
yeah, they're usually right in between. Right here. They're probably somewhere around. All right. Well, I'd be curious to hear how did you get your first sale?
Oh, it's a great story. So So as an entrepreneur, you have to hit it hard and hit the ground running. Now, I didn't do any type of campaigns or advertising or marketing at all, like Facebook or anything else, for the first 19 months. Jake, I'd get up every morning. I have about 100 units in my garage, different colors. I would get into the SUV, borrow my girlfriend's car, and I would drive to Westport, Connecticut. And
Hmm.
I'd start banging on CrossFit doors and I'd start banging on chiropractic doors, physical therapy, YMCAs. And I just walk in and say, "Hey, listen, I have no appointment. I have a product here that I think you're really going to like." I say, "Can I just demonstrate it?" Oh, yeah, let's check it out. Now, most of them I had a warm reception, but most of them were like, "Can you come back another time?" kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I sold door to door for about the first 3 months. On an average, I would sell about 10 a day,
Oh, that's not
making as
bad.
many deals as I can. And it wasn't enough. So finally, I walked into a CrossFit in Milford, Connecticut, and he bought 30 right off the bat.
Mm.
He tried it once, and he said, "This has to be the most amazing metabolic conditioning device for athletes built at different levels that I've ever experienced in my life." He immediately turned to his trainers. He had a big staff, like 10 trainers were there. And they all said, "Can we please, please, please get rid of those?" And they pointed at the fire hoses and the battle ropes that were hanging on the wall. They had about 10 or 12 pairs of fire hoses and battle ropes taking up a solid wall. And they said, "We just hate storing these things. And none of our clients can use them right. It looks ugly. They look like a fish out of water. They're just flopping their arms around, hurting their backs, hurting their wrist." And they just loved it and they incorporated it into their programs. As you know, CrossFit, a lot of CrossFit owners are now doing their own thing. They're not really following corporate as much as they used to. So they have inertia wave. They call it inertia wave burn classes,
Mm.
and they're capturing the stay-at-home parent between 12 and 3, which I thought was,
Mm.
hey, our revenue streams are up 30% because the old bar studios and all the downtime in the fitness industry is 12 to 3. You know that. And now they're incorporating classes, and it's working out very well. So after that, I did start just going on Facebook, making posts, and then I started making content. When I hit the 2 year mark, it was overwhelming, Jake. I didn't have to do any more content. I had an average of 10 stories and 4 feeds a day on every platform. I had to sift through people making videos and say, "Oh my God, I got 10 videos here. Which one am I going to use?"
Yeah.
And today, it's still the same way. Every morning I get up and I look for content and it's there. So it's a little overwhelming now. We actually, and I say we, it's it's me, but I like to say we to sound bigger than I am. But
Yeah.
we sold 80,000 units in 4.5 years, and I make a record of one thing, and it's right here. You can't see it. I'm rattling some paper. I don't know if you heard that, but I just rattled a piece of paper and it says the number 6 on it, and there's a bunch of scratches on it. We've had 6 returns,
Oh, wow.
6. And the returns basically were, I can't do it. I've tried. I just can't get the form. I can't do it. Or there was 2 defects, which I replaced. But we've had 6 returns in 4.5 years, which I think is pretty damn good for a product.
Yeah, and a lot of them are in gyms, like you mentioned. It's not just like home gyms; it's in gyms where people are
Yeah.
probably really beating
Well,
them.
our home space has increased over 40% in the last year since I came out with the Inertia Wave Strong. The Inertia Wave Strong is the inertia wave that you have, but out of the ends, there's a green spare gun loop. And now I have 2 military grade hand grips and giant 19-inch belts. So you could stand doing standing hip thrust, step back lunges, put them on your arms. You could do any type of upper or lower body exercise now by just clipping on and clipping off the attachments. So think of it as a hit, full body hit fit kit. You could call it a strength training cardiovascular kit. That seems to be extremely popular in the homes and with personal trainers in their studios, because now they have a chance of doing a standing hip thrust with the ladies rather than getting on a bench and loading up their acetabulum and loading up a bar, 45-pound plates on each side. It's cumbersome. It's not really good. And there's only about 6 or 7 degrees that it's working your glutes anyways. Most of that stuff is hype. Loading up 315 on a bar and doing glutes. There's not really too many glutes in there. That's another dissertation. But like I said, people base everything on a perception or sensation because they can perform the movement and they see it on social media.
Interesting. Yeah, I'd be curious to hear who were some of the first people to like maybe even people that listeners have heard of. Who were some of the first people to like
Um,
really catch on to this?
well, during the quarantine, I got a phone call from a buddy of mine. His name is Kevin, and he said, "Have you been on Instagram yet?" I said, "No. What's up?" And he goes, "LeBron James just posted
Right.
9 videos, literally scrolling through 9 videos at his house, how he gets shredded during quarantine. And he's using the inertia wave. Now, of course, media writes down battle rope.
Right.
So
Right.
ESPN, World News, Yahoo News, they all wrote battle rope, but I did call and they did change one of the articles. But he's using the inertia wave. And then from there, it just kind of skyrocketed. My website obviously blew up for a while. From there, Kate Beckinsale, if you know her,
Hmm.
she started using it. Gunnar Peterson has been Gunnar, right?
Yeah.
Gunnar Peterson has been a dear friend and a great influence with the inertia wave. He uses it himself. He believes in the product. So he uses it with all the celebrities, whether it's Kim Kardashian and Khloe Kardashian. He's posted videos of them using it in their garage when he's training them or at his studio in LA. He's moved recently. He's out of LA.
Yep.
Um, we had Dwayne Johnson was using it at the in his studio, Iron Paradise, and all of a sudden we saw it on commercials for Under Armour with Lindsey Vaughn and a few other professional skiers. That has just happened. Now, recently, Miley Cyrus came out with a new video called Flowers, and in her video, she's poolside. She's laying on her side. And when she comes to the end of her, like right in the beginning of her song, it fades to black. And she's giving a solid 8 seconds using the inertia wave where they zoom in and they zoom out. And she's going to town with the hero wave and she's screaming and it looks awesome. Same thing. I'll give a plug to my buddy Nick Tumanello. They're also using his bands as well, the NT Loop. So it's been a little overwhelming. So the site obviously has blown up tremendously with these celebrities that are using it. I was watching, I forgot the name of the show. It was there's a very famous show. Oh, I forgot. It's a police show. It's on TV currently. Bottom line is I'm watching it and they're down in a cellar. They pan the movie camera over and there's a pair of inertia waves hanging in the cellar on this show. It's a
That is crazy.
very popular police show that's on it's episodes. I forgot the name of it though,
That's
but
right.
I keep seeing it everywhere. It's been very overwhelming just the kind of people that are using it. It's on the set of many movie trailers. Many different celebrity trainers are using it. So it's been a good ride, and none of these things are paid advertisements. I didn't pay Miley Cyrus to use it. I didn't pay Dwayne to use it. I didn't pay Lindsey Vaughn. They just generally they just love the product. They use it. They just like the product. It's been overwhelming in NASCAR too. I got a lot of race car pit fit and race car drivers that are using it. So it's just been a good wave so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if you like even feel like you've made it now or like if you feel like really comfortable where you're at, but I'd be curious to hear like when along the journey did you kind of get that like I think we're going to make it. Like I think this is going to work. Are you still
Yeah, so I don't think anybody's watching the video right now. I just shook my head no. Well, it depends who you ask that question. Being a perfectionist and trying to be overachieve everything that I do, which is a downfall of mine. I'm working on it. Some people never feel good enough, and I admit as an entrepreneur, I really never feel good enough. I could get up and see LeBron James post. Well, LeBron James not only posted 9 times, but he posted about 6 or 7 times after that. He just likes the product, and he just
Mhm.
posts. He's in his living room watching TV, and he posts it. Go figure. But when I see stuff like that, other people might say, "Oh, wow, that's so cool! Wow, this guy must be making." It doesn't work that way with me. I want to bring my company to a level of TRX back in the day when TRX was really strong with Randy Hederick. Randy's an awesome guy. We met in Germany at the FIBO, discussed my product a little bit. He's just an amazing entrepreneur. He's back in the company now. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
He's rebuilding, restructuring. And, when you have a $50 million company like that, that just plummets when he leaves and he comes back and he's restructuring. That's kind of the way I look at it. I have certain projections. My projections are to hit 10 million in gross revenue within the first 10 years. And, we're not quite there, maybe half of that, but those are the kind of things I look for. I'm trying to get to a level where there's enough education, certification programs. Again, right now it's just me. It's just me in my garage with 2 warehouses up the street, doing everything I humanly can. Now, the business is extremely lucrative. Today alone we had a new distributor. We have exclusive distributors worldwide. Today we got Guatemala and Czech Republic. Today, I'm literally doing their order right now. So, there's major franchises that are reaching out to us that want their company logo on it, with 5,000 locations. Those orders are going through. So the orders are coming in. But again, I will never look in the mirror and say, okay, we made it. I think that's the worst thing an entrepreneur could ever do to themselves is just settle. It's like when you're a gym owner and you get 5 new members in a day, you kind of sit back and relax. You just took in $10,000 and you're like, okay, let's go out tonight. Let's have a good, no,
Hmm.
I always have this sentence, next, 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 next. When I'm through placing this order for 600 units today, which is a pretty good fair amount of units going to the Czech Republic, 600 units are going out. I don't look at it as, okay, my day's over. I look at it as, okay, I need to talk to somebody else now. I mean, that's just the way I am. That's the way I'm wired. And not every entrepreneur is wired that way. I'm just looking for to make sure that I can be noted as a great business entrepreneur that really takes care and cares about their customers, because customer service is first and foremost out of anything. I'm the guy who calls you and thanks you for ordering the 3-pack. People freak out. Who's this? The owner? What? You're actually calling me to I just spent $100 on your website and you're calling me? Like, get a life. Do you have a job? Like, no, I do have a job. I want to thank you. And they freak out about it. And I do it daily, daily. I text messages, hey, we're shipping today. I'm going to upgrade you to Express. Whatever I could humanly do on social media. I have a good reputation and a bad reputation. My bad reputation, Jake, comes from, hey, did you watch the videos? You're not anchoring it properly. Here's the video links. And they feel terrible because they've been using the Inertia Wave for 6 months, anchoring it together like a battle rope. They don't
Hmm.
understand it has to be 24, 36 inches apart, never closer. 40 inches
Yeah.
off the ground, it won't work. So, so I'm constantly sending people video links and customer service and anything I could do to excel the business with the right reputation.
Right. And you're just investing all your time back into the business. I'm sure you're,
100%.
yeah, yeah, cool. So I'd also be curious. You mentioned social media. You definitely have like an eye-catching product that people may not understand right away, which, like you kind of discussed earlier, leads to trolls. So I'd be curious to hear like what are some of the unique comments you get when people come across your product?
Shake away.
Mm.
So they'll say, "Oh, what is that? Shake away?" And then I look at it and I say, "Wait a minute. Is this a dumbbell that you hold in your hand that's about, 13 inches long
Uh-huh.
that you shake? How does that have anything to do with this 9 foot elastomer that's in front of me, separated, going through the oscillating wave patterns?" So some, I don't really pay attention to that because I'm just saying to myself, in life, I'm not judgmental. I'm curious. So I don't want to judge anyone for saying that, but I'm curious why they would say that. So in my own mind, because I can't say this out loud, and you can't, in my own mind, like, are you really that uneducated that you think it looks like a shakeaway? Does it look anything like a shakeaway? So something like that will come up. Or, oh, here's another product that you'll find right under your bed or in the closet. And then I sent a picture of, you know, the Rams, the football team, using the product in their studio, in their training room, and they go, "Yeah, here's some guys that put it in the closet as well." So I'll always come up with some. Oh, you'll never see a bodybuilder using this, and then I'll have like 6 or 7 videos of competitive one Mr. Olympia using the product. I tap into, Jake, every market. We have kids programs at age 9, and we have seniors in active living programs, adaptive training programs, prosthetics, tying it to their prosthetic. I mean, it's in the adaptive training environment, in the adaptive training world, handicapped athletes, A-list athletes, it's really everything in between, the military, police, SWAT, fire. We're in every single market. So when I do a video of a 78-year-old female doing the product, what do you think you get? Oh, is that for an older person so they can't use
Yeah.
a paddle rope? No, this is showing you the variety of the product. Are you age 9 or are you age 90? Guess what?
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. So I'm just showing every little aspect. I have a military video. I have a SWAT video. I have a police video. I have a senior video. I have a kids video. I have an athletic video. I have the stay-at-home mom video, tons of those. Guys on his porch, he's pushing his 3-year-old on a swing. And as they're swinging, he's on the side doing the inertia wave. And then he swings and he goes back and forth from the swing to the inertia wave. Very cool video. It says a point. It's the workout for people that have more important things to do because of it's so intense in a short window of time. So I'm just trying to show that
Right.
variety. So I'm trying to tone it down a little bit. I had a bad reputation because I would just answer people the way I wanted to answer them. And then I understood that I really shouldn't be talking back to these people. I should be educating these people. So I'm doing my best to educate them. I understand how you feel. However, I'll give them the science, I'll give them the publications, but they still use a laugh emoji. But then when you look at their page, they have 3 posts and 10 followers. So,
That's usually the ones
and they're
making the
stuck on they're
comments. Yeah.
stuck on Facebook. I always tell people there's a big difference between Instagram and Facebook to me. Facebook are the troll. When you go to Instagram, you don't see too much of that at all. I don't ever see that.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, you see people putting you down. On Instagram, I think it's extremely professional. I've never seen anyone since my inception in 2018 say anything bad about the inertia wave on Instagram. Zero,
Hmm.
zero.
That's interesting.
But Facebook all day long.
Yeah,
So
I am not on Facebook except for like a few groups, and but I see it in those groups. It's really crazy. All right, well, you mentioned some goals earlier for the business. What do you need to do, or what just needs to happen in general to make sure that happens?
I have to diversify, and I'm right now. I have developed. I just have to launch a certification program.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have the certification program where you could become a master trainer with the Inertia Wave, and that's all one-on-one Zoom. That's how you take your test. Or you could be an academic partner. The academic partners, it's not expensive. It's like $175 to become an academic partner. Once you take the test and I answer you, you have to show me. I'm asking you to perform specific methods. Once you know about the product and a little understanding of physics in regards to what the product does internally based on the external application, even the cleaning aspect and how to take care and safety issues of the product, the academic partner gets to hold seminars to call upon master trainers. So a gym owner could invite 10, 12, 15 people and have a weekend certification to become a master trainer at their venue. They get paid 1/3 of all the revenue streams from every person that joins. Let's say it's $100. So you, Jake, would get a third of the $100
Hmm.
for the 20 people that show up at your facility, and you as the academic provider are going to teach them how to become a master trainer. And at the end, you're going to evaluate them by them showing you different methods and talking about the product. It'll come with a journal, and they also get free. They get coupon codes for everyone, and they get some free equipment. There's no certification program out there, not even TRX, which is one of the biggest in their day, that gives a third of the revenue streams back to the gym owner or to the venue. So that's one thing I'm going to launch very soon. The next thing is I have to get some sales reps going. I need some dedicated reps who can literally, even if it's 20 a week, selling 20 more a week, that can actually work on a large commission basis and actually sell, going to the facilities, making demonstrations, holding seminars, things of that nature. So that's my next step. My next step is to find somebody like myself who I can clone, who I could teach, who will go to a CrossFit location or go to a large fitness chain, make the presentation, hold their attention, and possibly make a sale that way as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, that seems like a pretty
I'm
uh
doing everything I can to, with influencers doesn't work too much, and a lot of the influencers are extremely overzealous and arrogant. They just, they want $1,000 to do a post,
mm,
and their post
dang.
is no, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm kind of looking for the right mix. I do find a lot of contacts where I give, as an example, I can't mention any names, but there is a gentleman that's gonna make $20,000 from a sale he made, and all he did is literally send me an email. Hey, Dave, meet Jake. Jake, meet Dave.
Hmm.
Dave has an interesting product. I back it 100%. I'll let you guys take over. And that's basically all he did. And he gets 20 grand for that because the sale is overwhelming. It's
Gotcha.
could be 4 or 5 thousand units. But the bottom line is I'm looking for people like that. I have them out there right now trying to get me a distributor in Dubai. I mean, that's my passion right now. I want to get a distributor in Dubai. So I pay very large commissions. And what I do is I give them a percentage of the sale, show them the purchase order. So I'm not a greedy person. I'm just looking for people to help me really get it out there. You know, so that's kind of my next step is to work with people with very high commissions who know the directors and the head honchos and all these different franchises.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. And I was about to say, seems like a very nice model for someone who is passionate about this industry to try and get involved with. So yeah, cool. Sounds like a interesting
Yeah.
prospect for many. I think we covered most of kind of what I was thinking. I'd be curious though to hear like as you've been in the fitness game for a really long time, and I'd be curious to hear just why you think most people are not in shape.
Oh God. Well, that's okay. Why people are not in shape? Well, there's a laundry list of why people are not in shape. I think the number one thing is your mental state.
Hmm.
If everybody says I'm going to do that this year, I'm going to eat better, I'm going to work out 3 days a week, I'm going to join a gym. I mean, we know that those resolutions don't resolve anything, and that's a fact. I just think it's a mindset. I think that most people are not strong enough to really dedicate themselves to do something repetitively. I think it's a very short term gain. Everybody can do something for about 3 weeks. It's like it's like the cigarette smoker. You stop for 3 days and then all of a sudden you go into withdrawal symptoms. White people are not in shape. They're just not putting in the dedication of what needs to be done on a systematic basis. If I could use myself as an example, I'm 62 years old. I am gluten-free, wheat-free, soy-free, and dairy-free. Now, anybody listening to that says, "Oh, good God, do you enjoy anything?" I eat more than you could possibly imagine. You have no idea. Okay. So, but I won't eat anything that doesn't have a heartbeat, a mother, or a root.
Okay.
I don't have gluten. If you say and I'm 100% organic and it's not any more expensive because people say, "Oh, it's too expensive that way." I'm not eating processed foods. I'm not eating things that have antibiotics and hormones. Everything is pre-cooked. Everything is pre-planned. Meal planning is the number one key for anyone to get in shape. I'm making sure that I'm drinking 10. I use the ice shaker bottle. I'm sure you've seen it on social media, Chris Gronkowski ice shaker, because I won't drink out of plastic. Do the studies on dioxide. It'll overwhelm you. And all those plastic bottles, they're on a truck and they're in the sun before they become cool again. So all that leaches into the plastic. This is a stainless steel grade ice shaker. I'll only drink out of these. I have all different sizes. I have the gallon, half gallon, and I'll drink 10 of these a day. I try to get in a minimum of 150 ounces a day, bare minimum, of just plain old water.
Mm-hmm.
And those are things that you have to systematically do. I mean, 2 quarts before 9, between 9 and 12, another 2 quarts between 12 and 2. So, you might look at that and say, well, I don't have the time. I'll be going to the bathroom all the time. Well, there's your first excuse. I don't have excuses when it comes to my health and my well-being, my choices that I make. I think if people understood the proper choice. Now, another reason why people are probably not in shape is because they're just not educated. They don't have that education or someone to help them like you or like me to say, wait a minute, you're having English muffins and pancakes for breakfast? I don't believe in breakfast food. Cereal? I don't eat processed food. I don't even know what cereal is. I would never buy it. I don't eat anything in a box. So, and that's a little overwhelming to people. I don't have the time. I got to feed my kids. They want chicken tenders.
Yeah.
So there's always something in their way. I don't think it has anything to do with them going to the gym because I see tons of people every day when I work out at the gym faithfully. They go every single day. They're on the cardio machines for an hour. They look terrible. They look bloated. They look distended. They look inflamed. And you go up to them and you find out they're 28 years old and they look 36. It's sad. I just think, I don't know if anyone could really answer that. I just think it's your mental state. I mean, how bad do you really want it? What are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to take everything out of your cupboards and redesign it with a different brand name? Are you willing to just strip everything out of your house and start all over again and get the proper education that you need? Are you willing to teach your family how important it is, not to have pizza every night or fast food, McDonald's, Popeyes, whatever they do, because it's convenience. So it's really hard to answer, but I can say this much confidently, as far as wasting your time on an elliptical machine or 40 minutes in the gym on a cardio piece, we have tons of publications that show a 12-minute nonstop inertia wave is equivalent to a 40-minute elliptical. And when I say 12 minutes, I mean you're going all out, like you said, 35 seconds, catch your breath, go, catch your breath, go, catch your breath, go, catch your breath, go. And trying different methods like the crossfire for your oblique system and your abdomen, the super typhoon, anti-rotation, getting a variety of different patterns in a very short window will blow the doors out of any cardiovascular machine, including rowing, and blows away what is this, Jake? Help me out.
Oh, the ski erg?
Yes, blows the ski erg out of the water when it comes to, plus the ski erg. I won't even get into the ski erg. I like the product, but most people do it wrong, and those are doing it is spinal flexion, and they're just killing their back. They're just pulling down with their shoulders, and they're just flexing forward, and they're not maintaining that that strong position. So there are a lot of things out there that are cool, again, but they're not the proper way the human body was meant to be used in those substrates utilized in that particular form. So it's very hard. It's a very hard pill to swallow when I talk like this and say that, there's certain cardiovascular machines that are just so dictated and so bad for your system, and you're just wasting your time in there.
Right. Interesting. Well, there was one other thing. You mentioned on an Instagram post you had some sort of a Shark Tank experience.
Yes, my girlfriend
Right.
and I. So I submitted an 8-minute video about the product and myself to Shark Tank, and they sent my girlfriend and I the forms to fill out.
Hmm.
It was about 600 pages. So anyone listening to this, it's harder to get on Shark Tank than it is into Harvard. And I'm being totally sincere. 600 pages. They go back to high school. They go back to your
What?
high school. High school. I mean, it is overwhelming. So after you fill out all the forms and get all the documentation, and it's a lot of work. It took us about 30 days to finish the. Yeah, because you're waiting for documents from the state and from the
Oh,
federal, and
right, right.
yeah. So we submit that, and some time goes by, and the phone rings about a month later, and it was the producer of Shark Tank, and she literally said to me, "This is probably the best video entry that we've seen in several years," because I had a complete production crew and went to 5 different locations, and we made a story out of it.
Uh-huh.
We did an actual story, a skit. We had lines and everything. A lot of people were involved. So we did that, and we got invited, and it was in the quarantine time in September. They didn't have it in LA. We went to Los Angeles. They put us in an amazing suite. They filled it with Pelotons and weight equipment. We were quarantined for 12 days. You could not leave the hotel. If you opened the door and stepped in the hallway, you're disqualified.
Wow.
We had a personal chef on our floor. We could get anything we want. You can't name anything we couldn't get. If I said steamed chicken and poached chicken and steamed broccoli, that's what we had. And that's basically what I ate. So the bottom
Right.
line is we were in production, and we went through, and we had to wear our mask to the last minute. The light goes on. We rip our mask off. We'd start doing our skit. And the bottom line is they would not let me demonstrate the Inertia Wave. Because it was quarantine, they would let me touch it because they knew that. Well, I was a little upset with that. So I said to Kevin and Damon and Lori, I said, I got 30 of them sitting around me. I will demonstrate this, unhook it, throw it away. And then you guys could hook up the new one. They still wouldn't let me demonstrate it.
What?
So I had to show videos of LeBron and everybody using it. So
Right.
I had a big video screen, and I showed that. I had 3 offers. One of them was incorrect. They got the numbers wrong, but I had 3 offers. I was turning them down. The last offer was from Kevin, Mr. Wonderful, who is not so wonderful. He basically made me an offer that had nothing to do with the offer that I wanted. I wanted to sell 15% of my company. He made me an offer to give him his Facebook team so they could do my advertising, which made no sense to me. So I basically told Kevin I didn't like his wine. I said, this is not how you act in a boardroom, and I would never partner with you. And Mark Cuban stands up and says, good for you, Dave, good for you. And then they're all going back and forth, fighting with each other. Bottom line is Kevin threw me out. And there's a silver lining to this story. I go up to my room. I'm depressed. I ordered a bottle of wine and some meatballs. It's a true story. Yeah, I ordered a bottle of wine and some meatballs. I'm a meatball freak. I ordered a bottle of wine. My girlfriend's sitting there. She goes, don't be upset. We worked so hard for this, but we got thrown
Yeah.
out. The phone rings. It's the Gronkowskis. Chris Gronkowski, Robbie Gronkowski, Dan, and Glenn. They had the same producer I had for the ice shaker bottle. They were hoping that I turned the deal down. They literally said, I answered the phone. I'm talking to them. We'll take that deal. What?
No way.
We'll take that deal. You'll take that deal. Yeah, we're going to buy that deal. We want 15%. Boom. Within 2 weeks, they became a 15% partner. They were crossing their fingers that I would turn down the deal. So,
Whoa. I'm glad
so
I asked.
there's
That's
how Gronk and his brothers got involved. And it's been great ever since, hanging out with those guys and doing seminars and traveling. And they'll be at URSA in San Diego on the 21st and 22nd. I have a booth there
right.
at the San Diego Convention Center, and they're going to be showing up there in the booth. So it's been a quite a ride. So I wasn't really disappointed.
Right. That is really cool. Yeah, like I said, glad I asked. I almost forgot. All right. Well, Dave, thanks for taking the time. I will make sure to plug in all your website, social medias, etc., into the notes. But is there anything else you wanted to chat about before we go?
Yeah, if you want to put a coupon code in the note, you could. Do you have one personally?
It was just Garage Gym.
So I'm going to do a garage gym right now and add all the products. We have 19 variances. So I'm going to put all the products in there under garage gym. And let's put it down for $12 coupon code and free shipping.
And it's Garage Gym.
I will make it now. I'll just put garage gym.
Okay. You good?
Yeah,